Hello students, welcome to BTech first year physics course. In this course, I will discuss about electromagnetic theory. Now in this first lecture, I will discuss about how we will make Maxwell's equation to understand the electromagnetic theory. Okay, so what are those equations? So let's start. Now, when we talk about electromagnetic theory, it is the theory of electromagnetic fields. Now, what is electromagnetic field? So, electromagnetic field is basically the combination of electric field and magnetic field. So, you can see here electric field and magnetic field are perpendicular in direction. The vibration of electric field and magnetic field is perpendicular, right? And the propagation direction of the electromagnetic field is along this direction, along x direction here. So that is the perpendicular direction of the vibration of electric field and magnetic field, right? So now how electromagnetic field is generated, that is the first question one should ask. So suppose we have a charge, and you know that if there is a static charge, it will produce electric field, right? Now, when it oscillates, it will produce electromagnetic field. Now, suppose I have a circuit, and if I send a alternating current through this circuit, it will produce electromagnetic field. Now, as this electromagnetic field is a wave kind of thing, so it will be associated with a wavelength, right? Now, what is the wavelength of an electromagnetic wave? So there is not a single wavelength associated with the electromagnetic wave. So there can be multiple wavelengths associated with electromagnetic wave, and it is actually called electromagnetic spectrum. So in the lower side we have the gamma ray. Okay. Now in the increasing order of the wavelength, first we have X-ray, then ultraviolet ray. Then this is the visible region where we have 7 colors, then infrared region, then microwave region, and then radio wave region. Now, to understand the property of an electromagnetic wave, we have to understand the electromagnetic theory, or we have to establish a electromagnetic theory. And to establish the electromagnetic theory, we require 4 equations. So these are the 4 fundamental equations, which are basically called the Maxwell's equation. And please remember, the here we have to be careful. These are not actually the Maxwell's equation. So first 3 are okay. We are okay with these first 3 equations, but we have to modify the last equation, which is the Ampere's law. So that I will discuss in the next lecture. So today I will recap all those 4 equations, because already you have read in your 12th class. So let's recap all those things. That will be good for this lecture. Then we will proceed. Okay. So the first equation is actually called the electrostatic Gauss's law. So there are 2 forms when we write the Maxwell's equation. So these we can call as electrodynamics before Maxwell. So these equations was there. So this was introduced by Gauss. This is also, this is called the Faraday's laws of induction. That was introduced by Faraday, and this is Ampere. So those equations was introduced before Maxwell. So why they are called Maxwell's equation? So the Maxwell, what he did, he actually club all those equation, 4 equation, means he collect all those equation and he apply all those equation to understand the electromagnetic theory. So that is the point. Okay. So first equation is, electrostatic Gauss's law. So there are 2 forms in SI, and this G is actually called the CGS unit. So we will you can write only the SI unit if you want, and mainly people write in SI unit. So del dot E equal to rho by epsilon naught, that is the electrostatic Gauss's law. Then del dot B is equal to 0, that is the magnetostatic Gauss's law. So E here is the electric field and B is the magnetic field. Then curl E equal to minus del B del T. So that is the Faraday's laws of induction, and last equation is curl B equal to mu 0 J. So here this J is called the volume current density. So this is called the Ampere's law. Okay. Now let's discuss the equation 1, which is the electrostatic Gauss's law. So what is that? You know that if we have a charge or charge distribution, and if we consider a Gaussian surface enclosing this charge, so in that case, the total electric flux we can write as E dot dA, closed surface integration. So this is the closed surface here. So that is the S. So that will be Q by epsilon naught, and here we have to remember that this Q is actually the enclosed charge by the Gaussian surface, right? So this is called the integral form of electrostatic Gauss's law. So if I increase the value of the charge, then flux will be increased, right? So that is the point of electrostatic Gauss's law. Now if we use the Gauss's divergence theorem, that is the divergence of electric field over the volume, which is actually made by this closed surface, right? So that will be the total flux, total electric flux, right? So this is the Gauss's divergence theorem. Now if we use this, and if we consider this is a charge distribution where rho is the volume charge density, then we can write this, right? So using this and this equation, also this one, we can write this form. Now for this finite volume, we can write del dot E equal to rho by epsilon naught, and this is called the differential form of electrostatic Gauss's law. Okay. Now come to the next equation, that is the magnetostatic Gauss's law. So here this is a bar magnet, and you know this is, suppose this is S pole and this is north pole, and these are called the magnetic field lines. So you know that magnetic field lines will originate from the N pole and it will end and in this S pole. Now here if we consider a closed surface S and is actually enclosing this volume V, in that case the divergence of this magnetic field over this volume, that is basically the flux of these magnetic field lines, that will be 0. Okay, so this can be proved. Okay, and we can think it like this, that why it will be 0. So this is that volume. Now if you see here, whatever field lines is going outside, that is going inside in this, from this direction. So you can see here, whatever field lines, if you count the number, whatever field lines is going outside, that is going inside. So overall resultant flux will be 0. So that's why the B dot ds, that is the flux, magnetic flux, that will be 0. So this is called the integral form of the magnetostatic Gauss's law. Now if we use this form, then we can write del dot B equal to 0. So this is the differential form of the magnetostatic Gauss's law. Okay. Now what is the significance of this? The significance is the magnetic flux through any closed surface S. So this is that closed surface, that is 0. So del dot B equal to 0 means the magnetic flux through any closed surface is 0. Now this is universal truth. Now suppose if you have del dot E equal to 0, so if we go back here, del dot E equal to 0, what does this mean? This means that this charge distribution is 0. That means whenever there is no charge, del dot E will be 0. That is very obvious. Even if you are considering a minus q charge and a plus q charge, and you are considering a closed surface enclosing that minus q and plus q, so the resultant flux will be 0, because whatever electric field lines will go outside, that will go inside, right? Or we can think it in the mathematical way, the total charge inside the inside the Gaussian surface will be 0, right? So that's why del dot E equal to 0. But here the del dot B equal to 0, that is the universal truth. It will happen always. Why? Because it, so let's tell the significance. So significance, whenever anyone will ask about, well, what does this mean, del dot B equal to 0, so you have to tell the magnetic flux through any closed surface is always 0, and this indicates that the magnetic lines of force are always closed. That is the important point. But there, if you consider a charge, electric charge, there your electric field lines will not be closed. But magnetic field lines is always closed. Here in the picture you can see it is closed. It is coming from this N pole and it is ending at this S pole. It is closed. Okay, and that's why it is called the solenoidal vector field. And it also tells that there is no existence of isolated magnetic monopole or free magnetic charge, which is basically similar to the free electric charge in the electrostatic field. Okay, so this is the magnetostatic Gauss's law. So this is the second Maxwell equation. Now the third Maxwell equation is basically the Faraday's induction law. Now you know that whenever you are considering a current loop and suppose the magnetic flux changes through that loop, you know that induced EMF will be generated in that current loop, right? So that is actually shown in this picture, that this is a magnet which is actually moving along this direction, so there a induced current will be generated, and this is a galvanometer where you will get a deflection. So when your magnet is not moving, there will be no deflection in the galvanometer, but when you are moving the magnet, there will be a deflection in the galvanometer. Now if the movement of the magnet in the opposite direction, the induced current will be in the opposite direction also. So that's why there is this minus sign. So this minus sign is actually indicates the direction of EMF that is induced in the circuit. Okay, so now as there is a induced EMF generated in the current loop, and it will produce a electric field in the current loop, so we can write the closed line integral E dot dl, because that is a closed loop, it will be minus d dt, and this is the magnetic flux, right? So this is the integral form of Faraday's laws of induction. Now if we use the Stokes theorem, we know that closed line integral E dot dl is basically curl of the electric field, and this is the surface integration of the curl of the electric field over this surface. So this is that current loop if we consider, and it will make this surface. So this is a open surface, right? So here the direction of the curl of the electric field is basically in the direction of the magnetic field. Now if we use this equation, we can reach here, that is the differential form of Faraday's laws of induction. So for this finite surface, we can write curl E equal to minus del B del T. So here one should ask one question, that this is the exact differential d dt. Now why you are using del del T, right? So del, you know, is the partial derivative. So here this is outside of this integral. So in this integral, what is there? So you have to understand this. So there is magnetic field and also the area. Now how the flux can change, that you have to understand. The flux can change if you change the magnitude of the magnetic field, right, or the direction of the magnetic field. Also the area through which the magnetic field lines is crossing, that can also change. Means this is the current loop, and we can consider the radius of the current loop is more. So in that case the area will be more. So if the area changes with time, or the magnetic field magnitude or direction is changing with time, in that case, so here the flux, magnetic flux is basically changing due to the magnetic field also, and also the area, right? So that's why when we are putting this d dt inside this integration, and we are seeing only here the rate of change of the magnetic field, okay, rate of change of the magnetic field, that's why we are putting this del del t. So here we are considering only the magnetic field is changing, area is fixed, okay. So that's why this curl of electric field is minus del b del t. So this is the differential form of Faraday's laws of induction. Now let's discuss the equation 4, fourth equation, that is the Maxwell's equation before the modification, that is the Ampere's law. So you know that the line integral of the magnetic field around any closed path is equal to the mu 0 times the total current enclosed by the path. So here this is the enclosed current, and here we are considering this is the closed path, and you know that the direction of the magnetic field will be in the tangential direction of this loop, right? So closed line integration b dot dl will be mu 0 I enclosed. So this is the integral form of Ampere's law. Now if we consider we have a cylindrical kind of rod and your current is flowing through that, okay, so we have to consider the volume current density, that is J. So if we apply Stokes theorem, here this curl of B will be curl of B dot ds will be mu 0 J dot ds. So here actually we are using the Stokes theorem. So you know the closed line integration B dot dl is actually we can write open surface integration curl B dot ds, right? And here this I enclosed is actually surface integration, total surface integration J dot ds. So J is the volume current density. And here we have to remember that this loop is actually called the Amperian loop, and this surface which is actually here is generated due to this Amperian loop, because this is a closed loop. So now as this is a finite surface, we can write curl B will be mu 0 J, right? So this is called the differential form of Ampere's law. Now this law is valid for magnetic field which is for steady currents. Now suppose your currents is varying with time. In that case there have to be some modification in the Ampere's law. So that is the point where Maxwell introduced one term with this equation, and that is called the modified Ampere's law, and that is the Maxwell's fourth equation. Now one thing I want to mention, that sometimes you are seeing we are putting this del operator. This is called the del operator, you know, I del del x plus j del del y plus k del del z. So this is a vector operator, okay. So this is curl, so there is cross, you can see this is cross. If del dot, that becomes divergence, already I told, divergence of magnetic field, divergence of electric field, right? So once we is writing that del and we are putting this arrow over it, so to express it as vector, or sometimes we are writing, if you go back, if you go back here, we are not putting any vector sign. So basically this is not wrong. Here this del is in bolded form, so you can write like this. If you know that a vector, sometimes we can write it as a bold form. So here this electric field, magnetic field, all are written in bold form. Similarly this is also in bold form, so that's why we are not putting this arrow over it, okay. So that is not wrong, everything is okay. So already we have understood these four equations which is related to the Maxwell's equation. Now, thank you for listening to this lecture, and in the next lecture, I will show you how Maxwell modify the Ampere's law. Okay, thank you.